Pokemon Diamond's cover legendary, Dialga, is my favorite legendary Pokemon of all time, and it's one of the best Pokemon in the Uber singles metagame in its debut generation, being ranked a S-tier Pokemon alongside powerful threats like Kyogre. Dialga's success even continued in both Gen 5 and Gen 6 Ubers, where it is still ranked a solid A-tier Pokemon. However, unfortunately for Dialga, this success did not last after Gen 6. Dialga went from a great Pokemon that you would commonly see in battles, to something very niche you would only see on specific teams starting in Gen 7. In Gen 7 and Gen 8, Dialga is ranked a C-tier Pokemon, and in Gen 9 it fell down to the D tier, which basically means it is tiered Ubers but not actually viable in the tier, and its origin form is nothing to write home about either. This Pokemon is literally the ruler of time, and yet it has become worse and worse over time. Ain't that ironic? But how is this possible? How did this once meta staple fall down to unviable thrash? To learn why Dialga fell down, we have to look at what made it great in the past. Dialga is one of the best Pokemon in Gen 4 Ubers, and for good reason. Dialga has some great stats. It shares the special attack stat and speed stat of the mighty Kyogre, and its bulk is on par with many other Ubers tier Pokemon. Dialga is able to set itself apart thanks to its very unique Steel Dragon typing. Dialga was the only Pokemon with this type combination until Gen 8, and it's a very big part of its identity. This unique typing in combination with its well distributed stats and deep move pool make it a very versatile option capable of being used as both an excellent offensive and defensive Pokemon. Offensively, Dialga can throw out powerful Draco Meteors, which are terrifying to switch into, and its fight coverage allows it to pick off a variety of Pokemon. Defensively, its typing offers 9 resistances and 1 immunity. On top of that, it also has a valuable neutrality to Dragon and Ice attacks, which is something other Dragon types lack. This makes Dialga a tough opponent to take down. It also offers an excellent utility move pool for defensive sets, and this versatility makes Dialga a great pick on a lot of teams and an unpredictable Pokemon to play against thanks to its many viable sets. Especially defensive sets allow Dialga to switch in and shrug off incoming Dragon attacks, while being able to threaten these dragons back with a Dragon move of its own, and providing valuable support with Stealth Rock, Thunder Wave and Roar, and sometimes even Toxic. It could even opt to invest more in its special attack, and drop Roar for Flame Tower to get rid of Steel types, or Thunder to take advantage of Kyogre and spread paralysis that way, with that high 30% paralysis chance. Dialga's specially defensive set is able to check a lot of Pokemon in the metagame, most notably Kyogre, Darkrai, Palkia in Gear Teacher Origin, and many more, providing a much needed defensive backbone for many teams. Not to mention Dialga being resistant to Stealth Rock, making it harder to wear down and even easier to get on the field. Especially defensive sets could be used as a bulky setup sweeper with bulk up to boost Dialga's attack stat and rest stock to keep itself healthy as well. Offensive Dialga had a lot of variety to play around with. Choice packs to enhance Dialga's already high special attack stat and make its Draco Meteors even more fearsome, while also boosting its excellent coverage moves like the aforementioned Thunder and Fire Blast. Or you could trade choice packs for Choice Scarf to fix its lackluster speed and being able to outspeed many Pokemon you otherwise would not be able to. Mixed sets with Expert Belt or Wild Warp are great as well. This allows Dialga to make use of its respectable 120 base attack stat to slot on Brick Break for Blissey or Outrage to hit more specially defensive Pokemon, while also still being able to use Draco Meteor to hit physically oriented Pokemon for a lot of damage in combination with the aforementioned Fire Blast. Pure physically offensive sets are not out of the question either. Choice Penta Outrage with Earthquake as coverage can catch many switches off guard, and it can slot Overheat for Steel types like Skarmory and Bronzong that can otherwise switch into it. Lastly, Dialga could use a Trick Room set. Dialga is relatively slow on their Uber standards, which makes Trick Room a good option. This set would often invest all EVs in both attack and special attack, and go with a mix of Draco Meteor, Outrage and Fire Blast, or Earthquake in the last slot. This set is not only difficult to switch into, but also not easily revenge skilled, making it a terrifying wall breaker. Needless to say that Dialga is one of the dominant Pokemon in Gen 4 Ubers, for good reason. These same traits also made it a great Pokemon in Gen 5 Ubers. Dialga was also one of the better checks to Extreme Speed Arceus Normal, or E-Killer as it is referred to. Dialga did face some stiffer competition this generation, and wasn't as versatile in Gen 5. Scarf Dialga died out because of the dominance of Scarf Genesect, and its Restock set took a big hit with Gen 5's far from ideal sleep mechanics. Pure and White was also a great wall breaker with choice specs, but Dialga did have its fair share of advantages over it. Dialga took some big hits in Gen 6. Its steel typing no longer resisted dark and ghost attacks, making it a less reliable answer to Pokemon like the newly introduced Yveltal. Luckily, its steel typing did help it out too, against the newly introduced fairy typing, making it neutral against fairy attacks, and being able to hit them back with a stab super effective flash cannon. The fairy type did however limit Dialga's ability to spam Draco Meteor, especially with that base power nerf. Offensive Dialga also struggled to keep up with the increased offensive power. Offensive sets started to run Stealth Rock with Sugar Berry to take a hit from Primal Groudon, Dragon Dance Salamence, and Arceus Ground, making it a great fit on offensive teams. This set and especially defensive set were pretty much the only sets you would see. Dialga definitely took a step down from the previous two generations, but nevertheless was still a good Pokemon. However, in Gen 7, Dialga went downhill even more. Dialga wasn't necessarily bad, but its competition just kept getting stronger, and as a result, Dialga became very niche. Necrozma Duskmane was preferred over Dialga on most teams thanks to its slightly better bulk, a very resistance for Xerneas, and having reliable recovery allowing it to stick around much longer. Necrozma DM's ability also reduced the damage of super effective hits by 25%, making it even harder to wear down. Even offensively, Necrozma Duskmane was better. Dialga's niche over Necrozma Duskmane was that it could offensively threaten default users like Arceus and Giratina as his Stealth Rock earlier, so at least it had that. In Gen 8 it faced even more competition from the newly introduced Eternatus, which is superior offensively thanks to its significantly higher speed, reliable recovery, and a signature move Dynamax Cannon with no drawbacks. Not to mention that just like Dialga, it is also neutral against fairy types and can threaten them back with a super effective stab Sludge Wave. It did have a niche as a wall breaker that can soft check Circle in Eternatus, but Dialga is just very prediction reliant and not worth it in most cases. Dialga completely fell off in Gen 9, where it is not really viable at all. Its origin form is even worse as the special defense boost does not make up for the forced item slot, even with that free 20% boost to its stats. New powerful wall breakers like Miraidon just make Dialga's life even more difficult. Dialga's only saving grace in Gen 9 is that it is a great Pokemon in the new Ubers tier, but that's about it. Sad to see a once meta defining S tier Pokemon fall all the way down to a D tier unviable Pokemon. Let me know your thoughts about Dialga in the comments, and if you like this type of content, consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel if you are new. If you would like to support me even more, you can also become a member. I would like to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.